we all have these core life skills we just take for granted, right? Skills that feel as automatic as breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think self-feeding has to be right at the top of that list. It's so fundamental to our independence, to our dignity.
It really is.
But then imagine losing that. Not because you've, stopped trying, but because the actual mechanics of it. Lifting a spoon, bringing it to your mouth, they just stop cooperating.
Right.
We came across this story about a woman, Mrs. R. She was the queen of Sunday dinners, just famous for it. And then one day, after dropping her fork for the third time, she just pushed her plate away and she whispered, "I just can't do this anymore."
And that's such a heartbreaking moment.
It is. And if you're a caregiver watching that, your first instinct might be to think, oh, she's being stubborn, or maybe she's giving up. But that's the misunderstanding we really have to tackle here.
Exactly.
The research is so clear. Mrs. R wasn't being lazy. She was hitting the absolute edge of her skill set. And when that frustration just completely outweighs any chance of success, the brain, it retreats.
It does. And that's where we want to shift the focus today. We're moving past that emotional reaction and getting into the practical evidence-based science of it all.
Okay.
Our mission for this deep dive is to really analyze the tools, specifically task analysis and shaping, that you can actually use to intervene. These aren't just theories. They're like blueprints for rebuilding dignity.
One success at a time.
One success at a time. To do that, we have to see that eating isn't just one big skill. It gets disrupted at the level of these tiny, tiny micro skills, things that we never even noticed we're doing.
Right.
So we have to figure out where the chain broke and then, relight it one steady link, one steady scoop at a time.
Okay, let's unpack that. This invisible chain. Why does something like using a fork suddenly break down?
Well, it's almost never one single thing.
It's a combination, I'm guessing. The materials we looked at pointed to things like age-related motor changes, cognitive decline, arthritis, tremors, even something like low vision.
All of them working together, usually.
Yeah, but the real deep dive here is seeing the skill not as just eating, but as this sequence. The research breaks down just getting food from a plate to your mouth into 7 distinct micro skills. 7.
And if just one of those weakens, the whole thing can collapse.
Exactly. So think about it. First, you have to grasp the utensil. Second, you have to stabilize your wrist and elbow.
That's a big one.
Huge. Third, align the utensil with the food. Fourth, you scoop or lift. Fifth, you have to steer it toward your mouth. Sixth, adjust the pressure.
So you don't just stab the plate or crush the peas.
Right. And seventh, just managing the pace of it all.
7 steps, minimum. And we do that hundreds of times a day without a single thought. So when that starts to fall apart, just telling someone to try harder, it's completely useless.
So that's where task analysis comes in.
That is the core solution. Because you take that huge, complex skill, your fork, and you break it down into its smallest, most teachable parts. You're basically building a ladder of small wins.
I love that idea, the ladder. But what does that ladder actually look like on the ground? Do the sources give us a script? Because I think that's what caregivers need when they're in that moment.
They absolutely do. We found a really detailed 10-step blueprint just for self-feeding. This is the level of detail you need.
Okay, let's walk through it because this is gold. Step 1, obviously, pick up the utensil. 2, hold it with the right grip. And now here's the stability part, step 3. Stabilize the elbow on the table.
Yes, and we just gloss over that, but anchoring the elbow is a massive stabilizer. It's like a cheat sheet for a body that has weakness in the wrist or shoulder.
It makes so much sense. And step 4 is similar. Anchor the non-dominant hand on the plate. Why? Why is that anchor point so important?
Well, think about it. If the plate is sliding around,
You're just chasing the food.
you're chasing the food. The anchor hand gives you that counter resistance. Without it, the task is suddenly twice as hard. It's a recipe for frustration.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So moving on. 5, move the utensil to the food. 6, apply gentle pressure, scoop. 7, lift it with a steady wrist. 8, bring it to the mouth. 9, take the bite safely. And 10, place the utensil back on the plate.
10 separate steps. 10 chances for success. 10 chances for teaching and reinforcement.
Which leads right into the second tool you mentioned, shaping.
Exactly. If task analysis is the blueprint, shaping is what provides the psychological momentum. It's just reinforcing those small, achievable steps toward the final goal. You're celebrating micro-progress.
Okay, but where do people get this wrong? Do they just expect all 10 steps too quickly?
That's the main mistake. They withhold praise until the person gets the final goal. So let's say they can't scoop yet. You don't wait for a perfect scoop. You reinforce them just for holding the spoon correctly. That's step 2. That's a win.
Ah,
Or if bringing the spoon all the way to their mouth is hard, you reinforce them for just touching the spoon to their lip. That's an approximation of step 8. Shaping protects dignity because it honors effort, not perfection. You're always building forward.
this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because before you even get to that 10-step ladder, the strategies all stress one really powerful idea. Change the environment before you try to change the person.
Yes, the quick wins.
The quick wins, and they're so simple. We're talking non-slip placemats so the plate stays put, weighted utensils to help with tremors, built-up handles for an easier grip,
Adaptive bowls with high rims, plate guards.
little things, even better lighting without glare, or just less background noise so they can focus.
All of that just reduces the friction. It lets the person focus all their energy just on those 10 steps. Then once you've done that, you can move to the partnership part, the communication.
Right. And there's a big difference between pressure and guidance. The research says don't say, do it like this.
Because that immediately says you were doing it wrong.
Instead, you say something like, watch me first. And then you offer the spoon and say, your turn. There you go.
Yeah.
You're inviting them in.
You're making them the agent.
And that idea is physically reinforced with this other crucial technique, hand under hand, not hand over hand.
This is so, so important.
Hand over hand, where you're on top of their hand, it feels controlling, infantilizing. You become the leader. But hand under hand, where your hand supports theirs from below.
They stay in control. They lead the movement. And you're just the steadying force. It's the difference between being controlled and being supported. It saves their agency.
Exactly. And then you reinforce that agency with specific praise. So if you see them stabilize their elbow, you say that you lifted that spoon so steadily.
Right, not just good job. You tell them exactly what they did right so they can do it again. Reinforcement is the fuel.
And as they get better, the research warns about fading your help too quickly. It says to fade your help like a dimmer switch, not an on-off button.
Slow and steady. Otherwise, the frustration just comes right back. And all of this whole system, it's backed up by decades of research in behavioral gerontology.
Not just a nice idea.
Not at all. Study after study shows that task analysis and shaping really do improve independence. The core insight is just: success grows when the task gets smaller, not when the caregiver pushes harder.
Okay, that brings us to what we're calling caregiver real talk. Let's hit some of those common questions. First one, finger foods. If the utensil is just not working, should you switch completely?
It's a nuanced answer. The recommendation is yes, switch sometimes to preserve their autonomy and just get the meal eaten without a battle. But
Don't give up on the skill.
right, you still need to practice the utensil skills in small, structured bursts. It's a balance. Autonomy should always win in the moment, but the skill shouldn't be totally abandoned.
And what about when they refuse help? We know that's usually about dignity. What are the phrases that work?
You have to avoid anything that sounds like, let me do that for you.
Implying they can't.
Right. Instead, you use collaborative language. Let's do this together. Or how about I start the scoop and you finish bringing it up? It's a partnership.
Never a demand.
Never a demand. And if they do get frustrated and stop eating, you have to pause. Offer reset. A sip of water, a quick hand massage. Just talk about something else for a minute. Then restart at an easier step on the ladder. Momentum matters so much more than speed.
And the last big question. Adaptive utensils. Weighted spoons, plate guards. Is that cheating?
Absolutely not. Full stop. They are assistive technology. They aren't shortcuts. They are tools that make participation possible. Independence is measured by participation, not by some perfect arbitrary form. A win is a win.
Yeah.
So if you connect all of this, the big reframing you have to do is this. When your loved one is struggling, they aren't losing motivation. They're losing micro skills, one tiny link at a time.
And seeing that changes everything. It makes the caregiver's new role so much more achievable. Your job isn't to fix everything all at once. It's just to light the next small step on that chain.
And those small steps lead to small victories.
And those small victories are what rebuild dignity, one steady, celebrated sweep at a time.
Exactly.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to mull over for your own deep dive. The research points out that for many people with progressive decline, progress is slow. And sometimes the real victory isn't about gaining new skills. It's about successfully maintaining the skills they have right now for as long as possible. So the question is, what changes when we measure victory by maintenance instead of always demanding growth? How does that shift the way we approach care and how we celebrate success in the long run?